Well, hello gardeners, welcome back. We are in Vero Beach, Florida, Zone 10A today. And I wanted to share with you a very young, very newly installed landscape buffer. This is a side yard buffer in a fairly narrow spot. I thought this might be a really good video because this combination of plants works super well together. So if you guys have that perfect spot in your garden and you're like, I just need some coverage, but I don't want it to look like just a wall of something. I want it to have some appeal. Maybe set it in areas where the viewpoint shines directly out. So if you're just like my customers here, where you have that narrow little strip right between your house and your neighbor's house, and maybe, you know, just some visual aspects are not super appealing to you, whether it's your windows looking directly at their windows, I hear that a lot, or if it's just like my clients here, where their bedroom windows shine right into the back screen porch and the TV area for their neighbor. So I thought I would share with you guys the plant choices that we made here, what they're going to do over time, so you can kind of feel confident if this is something you're going to tackle on your own. Those of you guys who happen to be in our area and would like to have something like this installed, then hit up your girl. You know I'm a landscape designer. I service the Treasure and Space Coast area, and we'd be very happy to meet with you. I also offer virtual consultations. I lay it out on my program and then just email it to you guys so you guys get a good visual of what that's going to look like. We have a full master plan service, and we do that for a good part of Florida. So reach out to us. I'll put all of our contact information down below. You will speak to my daughter-in-law, Marissa, and she will give you all the ins and outs of everything. But for now, let's jump right into this landscape buffer and kind of what it's doing for the space. All right, so what you guys are seeing here, what Bryce is showing you, is just kind of the full frame of this little side yard island. But what I do love about this is not just a little hidden gem just for the bedroom windows. This is something that you can see right from the road. So this is a kind of front yard, side yard buffer type of planting, but something very appealing, because my clients wanted a wall. They wanted something that was going to create some pretty good coverage just from the neighboring house, but they also wanted it to look good from passerbyers. And we all have that, especially those of you guys who are on corner lots. I know that is a huge thing because your corner lot is technically just an extension of your front yard. And so we kind of wanted to do the same thing with this. We wanted to really make sure that this is a pretty visual and it's going to grow in with layers and colors along this side. And it's not going to feel like they just put up a wall to kind of block off the neighboring house. And it also doesn't make them feel closed in. If we put up a row of areca palms, which nothing bad about that, but if you do that, sometimes it has a tendency to close the area in even more. And we want to try to avoid that if we at all possibly can, because that's what gives you that kind of garden feel. Gardens are meant to draw you through, to take you through this expanse. That being said, my client said originally they had no intention of kind of really creating this area as a pathway, but what is coming very soon is a gate for that fence right there, and this is going to be an entrance pathway. We're going to do a little bit more work here for their front yard, connect these two areas, and this is going to be the future pathway to their backyard secret garden. Just to give you guys a point of reference for this particular garden, this loop comes out to about 10.5 foot wide right here at the biggest portion, and then it swoops in and gradually goes into the 6 and 5 foot range as it curves in and then pops back out, just to kind of give us a little bit of flow. We left just enough room for their maintenance guy to get in here and mow this section. Now this garden may change in the future as the front yard gets done and we start to loop this out. We might make this more narrow, and instead of grass, this will turn into a stone pathway with some flagstone leading to the backyard. But for right now, we're keeping the grass, so we needed to kind of keep this section a little bit compact. We did back it with Buta edging, which I absolutely love. And I was telling them with the Buta edging, we can lift this up and curve this bed and then pop back out to recreate or add into that loop when we're ready to make this a flagstone rock pathway. Right at the very end, I wanted a little punch, a little bit of interest. And you guys know how I feel about my false agaves. I've got a false agave. You can see this right from the road. It's going to give us a fantastic 5 foot in time, a 5 foot impact right here at the front. Because of the light variation in this particular plant, I chose to use a little touch of ruby reds. We only have a handful of these right here, but this is going to kind of give us that dark coloration against the Buta edging and against the variegation here. And then of course, as we move on to the gold mounds to the back. So if you guys have seen my book, which is now out, I'm so excited excited. It's out on Amazon. I mix this collection of 3 plants together so very often because they work so well together. They don't compete. They're nice and compact. They really, really do fill in a spot. And just to give some balance and some dark tones to the little rubies, we've got anti-Lou quarter lines, just a clustering of those together. Now, I get this question all the time about anti-Lou's. Gosh, I love these, but I hate how sticky and long and thin they get. Now, these anti-Lou's are a collection in one grouping. This is how I like to plant them. I like to plant an oversized, dig a big hole with these. Now, you can put 3 gallons or you can put 1 7-gallon and a couple 3 gallons and connect them together just like you would put in a vase, just like you would put inside the house. Connect them together like this, because what'll happen in that same hole, what they'll do is they'll push against each other for future growth. They'll be perfectly fine. Nobody's going to be starving. They'll root together and become one happy family. But what they will do is, instead of having any kind of legginess, you put in some smaller anti-Lou's down below with some bigger ones that are here, and now they're going to push against each other, creating one big bouquet of these guys. And all you have to do is once per year trim the tallest one. As soon as it starts to get a little bit of wood on it, a little bit of legginess to it, trim that tallest trunk right here. It will flesh out with 2 new heads, sometimes 3, at the bottom, giving you another tier. You take this, the tall section of this here, because it's still beautiful, it's still gorgeous. Your option is to bring it inside the house, put it in a vase, or put it right back into the ground. You can take this guy, and now there's an opening right here. So you can cut this guy and put him right here, now allowing this to get chunkier and fatter. And before you know it, you've got a collection of 7 or 8 of these that have just really branched out, and they're really the gorgeous bouquet long-term, year after year after year after year. Just a pop of color, a pop of impact, and not one bit of legginess in sight. So don't sleep on these guys. Just to kind of follow through with the rear tier here, we have Clusia as the backdrop here. These are 10-gallon Clusia. These just went in a couple days ago, so everything is still wonky before it has a chance to really stand up straight and start to connect with each other. But in a matter of months, 6 months, these guys will be 1 foot to 2 foot taller. They'll have started to connect with each other. When you guys get them and they have this kind of weepy, wonky kind of look to them, but generally Clusia will do that until they root in. Because what happens is they throw out these kind of wonky limbs, just like you see here, because they're looking for something to grab hold of. See, look, it's like a magnet. They want to connect with each other. So as soon as they connect with each other, they connect with their neighboring plant, now they're solid. They are just armed like this. So they are a braided plant. And not only do they braid like this up here, but they also braid that way underneath the ground, which makes them so fantastic for weed suppression. Oh my goodness, you guys. When you get these guys in, it's almost like anything's hard to live around these little guys that are trying to pop up like little weed seedlings. So go ahead and allow these guys to connect, really give them some good water to get them established, because all of this right here is water. It's a succulent in there. So get that kind of that nice shiny leaf, give it some good water. After establishment, 2 days a week of water is perfectly fine. The first 60 days, every day to every other day for 10 to 15 minutes is ideal to spray these guys down with some extra water. It just kind of gives them a little bit of a reprieve from that heated day. So,
hey you guys, gonna pop back in here a little bit. In the comments, I got a lot of support with the measurements, so I wanted to see if I could help you guys out again with that. Moving back to the shrubbery, the Clusia from on center of each plant, from the center of this plant right here to the center of this plant right here is 3 feet. And I got a size 12, so count it off for you. 1, 2, 3 on center right there. 1, 2, 3 on center plant right here. Now that can change if you're next to, say, like a big oak tree. You have to move with the miscellaneous a little bit. So instead of, being 3 feet, it could be 4 foot because you have a giant root in the ground right here. And the same goes for these quarter lines right here. So 1, 2, 3 on center. This is going to be 3 feet on center from the Clusia to the quarter line. One thing I want to give my mom props on is that she's really good with functionality. You can tell right here, this is for drainage. This is the lowest point, so it allows for the water just to drain to right here. Most people, like in Florida, they want to use the majority of their property in their landscaping. But instead, she's like, okay, let me just save them the hassle and make sure that everything flows correctly and move this about a foot and about 2 feet from when she started the plantings for nothing to be messed up with the drainage. This Buda edging is going to be a perfect buffer for when the water does raise a little bit. It's got about probably 3 inches, maybe 4 inches. And then you can see that this is also raised up a little bit too, so it shouldn't be affected by that water. So when you're thinking about doing this yourself, that's something to really keep in mind. For instance, Clusia don't like to be sitting in water, so she knew she had to move it away from that drainage. So it's about knowing your plants, but also knowing the area, the landscaping too. And one more thing about functionality, I know she said it before, I get this all the time when I'm meeting with clients as well. A lot of people forget about that lawnmower path. You need about 4 feet in order to get into here and to mow right here. And I know she's planning for the future to have a walkway, but for now, it's really important that you have this space so your lawnmower guy is not knocking on your door saying, hey, what are we doing? But going back to the spacing, this is a 15-gallon false agave, and this is a 1-gallon little ruby or ruby red. The general spacing for 1 gallon is about 1 to 2 feet away on center. So the center of this plant to the center of this plant is gonna be about 2 feet away. And the same with the gold mound. This is 1, 2 feet away. It's all right to go close because this false agave is gonna go up and out. It's not gonna go and spread out into this guy right here. So just to sum that up for you guys, a 1 gallon is gonna be that 1 to 2 feet away. 3 gallon is gonna be a solid 2 feet away. And then that 7 gallon is gonna be that 2 to 3 foot away, depending on the plant, of course.
Very, very good information. And Bryce also mentioned one other thing off camera is all of these plants, not only do they work together as a good combination, but they're also gonna be in the same watering pattern. So this is not gonna be something where you have to water this one a different way versus this one. All of these are gonna be able to maintain and live off the same watering cycle. And I think that's a big important thing to stress because so many different tropical plants really require like a whole multitude of watering options. So when you're picking material, try to do that. That's one more thing that I did mention in the book. I know I keep plugging the book, you guys. It's a shameless plug because I'm so very excited that it's out. But but definitely when you're pulling things together, I try to mention what works together in there, but I don't always talk about watering. So I'm so glad that he brought that up, especially in our summer months here. What we have here is a small collection. I don't want any of this material to overtake the false agave. The false agave is meant to be the star of the show. So all of these to the bottom are supposed to crown around it. So the little ruby reds, the gold mound, the little touch of the fire orange lantana. I just love these compact versions of lantana. These lantana are the sterile variety, not the ones that travel or become invasive. So if you guys are looking in the nurseries, try to find those. Lantana has a tendency to kind of want to climb and creep and do its thing. I know that's the native variety versus the made lantana. However, what I do like about these is they just kind of stay put where you want them and they don't kind of travel. And considering they are kind of a little toxic to animals, especially cows and fields and things like that, we want to try to keep them where we're using the sterile variety, if at all possible. But I love the color combination they offer. They offer orange, pinks, reds, yellows, like things you think that, gosh, is that just too much? It's just not going to go well together. Well, they do. Wait till they get big. Right now they're babies, but when they get big and poof out, all of that color comes to town, and then it pulls together other color groupings that you have in the garden. We have the touch of the purples and the burgundies. We got the touch of the yellows here. We got touches of reds in the back. So, you know, anything that's going to kind of continue to pull those colors together, pop in some of that variegation there. So when you're looking at this particular plant, because this is a new landscaping, you might be like, well, these gold mound are going to outgrow these guys. Not the case. These gold mound are going to be kept as the ground cover they're meant to be kept, which is going to be right into this range here. And then these guys are going to pop up behind here and give you that shine of color. So that's why we only have 3. You guys know, if there's room in a garden, I'm a plant filler. I'll pop something in there any chance I get. But I have to restrain myself because I do know in the future it's going to overgrow the space if we put too many. So 3 is all we could do here in a triangle formation. These 3 will become one plant. They will connect together. So that's what we want, like a little poof of impact on either side of this plumeria. And we have a collection right over here. So a nice balance of that color right next to a 2-toned plumeria. This plumeria tree, or frangipani, depending on what you like to call it, is not up to par. I'm going to get Bryce to slide in a picture of what it looked like just the week before we planted it. We got tons of rain. It just came down like buckets. And those of you guys who know plumerias know that they do not appreciate that kind of rain all at once. They're very, very opposed to it. So they dropped 90% of their leaves and then left us with some yellow ones. But I see new growth coming everywhere. It's going to pop back and be gorgeous. This is a tree combination that's been grafted where we have multiple colors in one. So we have pink and we have yellow with a little center of white in that yellow. And it's just going to be stunning. So this is going to be what people see at the road. They're going to see the false agave of that cool, vibrant kind of structure. They're going to see the antilus with that dark, dark contrasting tone. And then above, as a taller tier, they're going to see this wide grouping of a very colorful, dark green, completely different kind of long green leaf with beautiful pink and yellow blooms from the street. And just this little section alone, if they were just to do a little island like this by itself, I think would be a stunner. I think it would be absolutely gorgeous. All right, you guys, so this is where the garden starts to take shape. So we had nice pop outs, leaving us some layers over there. This area, I needed it to go in a little bit. So this is so that way we didn't have one straight, narrow garden. We have room for loops. So when you have that, you want to do something that's going to allow to get tall and vertical. Nothing that's going to be multi-layered, but still give you some fullness. So they're going to let these Clusias get 6 to 8 foot along the backside, but we needed some color to the front to jazz up the Clusia and a different leaf. So this is called Painted Lady Hibiscus. I'll get Bryce to pop in a picture of what that looks like when it's in bloom. The blooms are a beautiful pink coloring. They bloom all year long, just a stunner in the garden. And there's smaller blooms on the hibiscus, but what I do like about that is they bloom more often. So they're going to get kind of a nice color. And all we had room for is a linear pattern of 3 of them. So we have 3 hibiscus here, little touch at the bottom of the ruby reds, just to give us a variation and tie in with the very front of the bed. This is a view line that they look out. They said they never had these blinds open. Now they're wide open. They wake up in the morning. I don't know if there's chairs there or what happens, but I know that they enjoy, and they've told me many times they've enjoyed just looking out at all of this blast of color outside these windows. I know you DIYers, and I get this all the time, where clients want a very symmetrical plan. If you've got an agave here, if you've got a palm tree here, you just rinse and repeat that. And I am a rinse and repeater, but sometimes you need symmetry in a different type of way. So we do have 2 matching agaves, one starting it to the front and one almost at the ending point, serving as a centerpiece over here. But I didn't and couldn't use another plumeria tree grouping here to the back because one thing, the sun. We've got these oak trees to contend with, unfortunately, just a little bit more shade than what a plumeria really likes. Plumerias, for them to really stand out and grow really well, they love, love, love the sun. What can handle that and bloom super, super well are going to be these bottlebrush trees. This is the standard variety, the lollipop shape, the ones that you can keep nice and rounded, just like a lollipop. So I chose 3 of these because now this part of the bed, although it has the same color pattern as what we have over there, it is a different view line. It is something that we were able to just have a little bit more interest in. So instead of thinking of it as one solid structure or one solid island, kind of think about the purpose and the reason for it. This up here obviously is for the road. It's for the view line. It's for the front door. It's for when people come to the driveway. This is what they're going to see. So that is going to be very important for it to have a nice layered look. However, that doesn't mean that we can't get taller. So this is going to be taller than that chunky plumeria in the back. You're going to see this from the road, but you're also going to see this as coverage. These 3 trees are in a triangle formation. They're going to almost grow together. They will turn out to be 5 to 6 foot of circular heads at the top. So you'll have 6 foot wide lollipops here as a beautiful green coloration, nice texture of leaf with beautiful red blooms. So those bottlebrush blooms are stunning. Now we're missing them right here in fall. They do bloom all spring, actually late winter, all spring, and in all summer long. So we're just out of the blooming cycle now, but oh my goodness, during the most of the year, they're absolute stunners. And they take no room in the garden. You kind of see, because they're the compact variety, I'm not worried about them spilling out way over here where they're touching the house. No, they're gonna kind of come around here and give us a nice rounded feel. Very easy to maintain these guys. So if you like this kind of leaf structure and you've got other contrasting leaves, then don't sleep on the bottlebrush. I just love them. If you have a little bit more room and want a little bit more pizzazz, then hit the weeping ones. They kind of give you a little bit of a weeping willow kind of feel. So So it's a little dreamier, but you definitely need more room for that particular tree. In standard, these are 30-gallon trees, and I usually put them anywhere between 7 and 10 foot apart, just depending on how big that tree canopy is. If it's a weeping, definitely 10 foot apart. If it's a standard like this, it can go as close as 7 foot apart. However, there's a caveat with that. Underground utilities, irrigation lines, or big mamma jamma oak trees. Those roots on those trees were no joke. This is the neighbor's yard, so there's nothing we can do about the overhang of the trees here. So what we've got is we've got a couple trees a little off center just because we had to work with what we're working with. So right here, I have a little collection of 3 thryallis. Now thryallis are gonna do what hibiscus do. They're gonna kind of come up. They're gonna give you a little bit of a woody bottom, but the top of these yellow blooms, the top of those leaves are going to be stunners. If you only have room for one row of something, don't use thryallis. Thryallis are too woody at the bottom because that's all you'll see is the wood at the base. If you have room for a skirt to go underneath of it, thryallis all day long. They're gorgeous, they're easy to care for, they bloom all year long. I mean, even in the fall, they bloom. Summer, fall, spring. They're really fabulous to work with. They need filtered light to full sun. That's their favorite option, but they can handle all of the acid dropping from these oak tree leaves. So they're gonna do perfectly fine in this environment. Keep in mind, right now, everything is layered perfectly, but when these get to the back, get to be 6 foot or so, then we're gonna have lower plantings. You're really gonna see that variation come to life when the Clusia connect and become the wall. And that's one of the best parts about using a hedge, like a Clusia, like a green buttonwood, like a podocarpus, is you can manipulate your wall, your green wall space into whatever size you want it to be. Unlike a palm tree where you're kind of just gonna have to wait and it's gonna grow and do its thing. A wall, a rear wall of a hedge planting, you can maintain it whatever size it's going to suit your particular island. So I love Clusia for that because they really let you play around and work in your space instead of you having to work with theirs. And then all you have to worry about doing is making sure that you dress up in front of the green wall. So your green screen is there, layer in some variations of colors or different textures. If you like multi-greens, go with multi-greens. Use foxtail ferns for that chartreuse green. Use something like Xanadu for a different kind of shaped green. Use something like this kind of leaf that really gives you more of a northern type of needle feel of that kind of green against a big shiny leaf like a Clusia. Sometimes it's the contrast of the leaf more so than the contrast of the color that gives you that, wow, like what's going on there? What gives you that interest? And that can be done in as small as a 5 foot bed. I mean, you don't need a lot of space, and that's kind of why I always try to stress that in the videos, because it's not about how much room you have, it's what you're working with and how you're working with it. All right, you guys, so we're in the last loop. So this offers is kind of like the centerpiece from the window line. So this is kind of what my clients are looking out from their bedroom windows. So we've got the false agave as you're like, hello. This is something you can see easily from the road and obviously something they can see from the windows there too. And then we've got a little clustering of dwarf alamandas. These dwarf alamandas are just stunners. I love, love, love them in a garden. They can handle filtered light. They can handle full sun. They don't like shade, so you want to kind of stay away from that, but they can handle the acid from leaves, pine needles, and anything like that. They can be in an acidic environment and be super, super happy. So I just have a little bit of grouping, just kind of a swath of them, because we're looking all the way down to the end of the bed. At any time, your eye is traveling all the way to the back. If you can end that back with something like a blooming plant like this, or if it's in the shade and you need to do something like a Java white copperleaf or a trinette, something that has a light tone, then there's something that attracts you to almost want to walk all the way down to the end of that bed, something that's drawing you out. And so that's the goal. You want to have enough dark and light, dark and light, dark and light, but end it in that darker area with a light pattern or a light bloom, because, you know, makes you want to say, oh, what's happening over there? Hello, ladies. And, you know, I don't mind coming to visit these gorgeous girls here. And then right to the front of those are going to be just a little swath of the lantanas. So these are the compact, again, variety lantanas. They're the orange, the pink, the red. I think they're called neon. I always forget. They seem like they change in every nursery depending on what nursery they go to. So just ask them for the orange and the pink and the red. Pastel coloring too, that's called Anne Marie. That is really nice. So if that's more your vibe, if you're more of a softer tones versus the darker, deeper tones, Anne Marie's, they're awesome too. And then we just ended it with the dark colorations. Alamandas and the Antilus are a great contrast, and that's our like finale. That's where we started. We started with the beautiful clustering of Antilu, ended with a beautiful clustering of Antilu, and voila, we have a very well-formed bed that suits the objective. This is your buffer. This is what they wanted to see. This is where they wanted to see concealment and color and interest. Up at the front, it's for the neighbors. It's for the guests that come in. And maybe in the future, this will become the perfect walkway into their secret garden, because by then it really will be pretty secret with a 6 to 8 foot rear wall and all of this layered color to the front. So this will definitely be an inviting walkway space to work in. But you guys, before I let you go, I wanted to showcase our lovely Vanna White Style, our book here. This is our book that's just recently come out this past weekend. I know a lot of you guys are grabbing it up on Amazon. I want to thank you so very much. Amazon tells us that the first 30 days of reviews is hugely important. So those of you guys who have bought the book to transform your own gardens, or maybe you bought it for just support because you enjoy these videos for all these years, both ways, I want to thank you so much, and I ask you to please write a quick review of what you thought of the book, because it helps Bryce and I tremendously. This is something that we wrote together jointly. It's something we are super proud of. It talks about plants, trees, combination plants and trees, places they love to live together, 50 of the toughest Florida tropicals that I use every single day in different gardens, just exactly where they love to be planted in a garden. I am just so very thrilled with it. I'm hoping you guys enjoy it as much as Bryce and I did writing it. I am very pleased with how the book has come together, and I hope it makes it to your garden and it helps you guys tremendously. I want to thank all of you true gardeners out there who have purchased one.
Thank you.
And Bryce says thank you as well. I will see you in next week's video. Thank you so much. Take care, y'all.